Welcome back to the Fairy Garden series, where stardust lines the shelves, and even the moon needs a little help finding its way. Tonight's story is about Olivia, two twinkly mapmakers, and the moons that mark the magic of every season. This is the Moonlight Mapmakers. In the hush of the garden, the night had gone still. Soft shadows drifted across the marigolds, and the air smelled faintly of mint and soil. Near the old pumpkin vine, something began to shimmer, a thread of light so thin it looked almost alive. It moved like it had a mind of its own, twisting and curling through the mist, a silver line drawing pictures in the air. Olivia leaned closer, the world holding its breath. A ribbon of moonbeam floated before her, impossible to miss, impossible to forget. The ribbon drifted forward like a trail of music, and Olivia followed it just past her swing, where starlight had fallen like snow and settled on every leaf and stone. The whole garden glowed faintly, as if the moon itself had whispered color into it. Beyond the trees, she saw something she'd never noticed before. A tower leaning just a little to one side, its walls etched with spirals that caught the light. Maps clung to its roof like dragonfly wings, and through its windows, she could see stars painted on the ceiling and every wall. She knocked once, then twice, on the shell-buttoned door. Inside came a flurry of noise, papers rustling, a voice muttering, and the clatter of something rolling across the floor. "I'm coming! I'm coming!" the voice called. "I just misplaced my pen. No, wait, my telescope. Or was it my slippers again?" Olivia giggled quietly. The noise behind the door grew louder, a mixture of hurried footsteps, clinks, and something that sounded very much like a sneeze made of glitter. The door creaked open with a giggle and a pop. There, in the golden light of 1,000 floating lanterns, stood a fairy, older than she'd imagined, yet glowing with youth in his laughter. His curls were wild, his glasses, 3 pairs, perched at odd angles, and crumbs from some forgotten snack clung to his beard. "I'm Cormac," he said, adjusting a lens over one eye. "Moonlight Mapmaker, chart collector, finder of lost pens. Or, perhaps, you're here for the glue." Olivia shook her head, trying not to laugh. "No glue." He smiled, as if satisfied with the answer anyway. Before Olivia could answer, another light filled the doorway. Soft, warm, and steady. Sori floated into view, her golden wings catching the glow of hanging lanterns. Her white lace dress rippled like gentle waves, and her moonjar earrings glimmered with silver blue light. "Welcome, dear one," she said, her smile calm and kind. "Come in. You found us at a good time. We've just finished steeping sky-sip tea." She poured a cup that glowed faintly like captured starlight. As Olivia took her first sip, warmth filled her hands and her heart. They unrolled a long parchment across the table. It shimmered as though it were alive, 12 bright circles glowing softly along its edge. "These," said Cormac, "are the moons of the year, each one a keeper of its season." Olivia leaned closer. Each moon was painted in color and light. January's pale wolf moon, February's silver snow, March's golden worm moon, April's soft pink glow. Every one of them pulsed gently, as if still connected to the real sky. "The moons tell us more than when to plant or rest," said Cormac, his quill hovering. "They teach us how to listen to time." He pointed to each glowing circle in turn, naming them like old friends: the strawberry moon, the buck, the corn, the hunter. Sori leaned closer, her voice softer than the candle flame. Each name was given by those who lived close to the earth. The moons reminded them of what was growing, what was leaving, and what would one day return. Olivia watched, spellbound, as faint moonlight rippled across the chart like breath. But the moons, added Sori, don't just shine for beauty. She raised her hand toward the window, and the light outside began to move. Waves shimmered far away, echoing the moon's silver pull. They speak to the oceans, she continued. They whisper to the tides and call to the birds. The moon's gentle gravity keeps the earth's rhythm steady. Cormac nodded, opening a glowing diagram that spun slowly in the air. Olivia gasped as she saw the moon's invisible string stretch across the room, tugging softly at her heart. The moon doesn't stay the same, said Cormac. It waxes and wanes, growing, shrinking, and growing again. He tapped the glowing circle chart, and each moon shifted into a new phase, light turning to shadow, shadow to glow. Sori added gently, "It reminds us that change isn't loss. Each moment has its purpose, each phase, its reason." Olivia watched the shifting moons and thought about how even endings could be beginnings waiting in disguise. Olivia wandered the observatory, her feet light on the floor. Shelves towered high, filled with glass jars labeled starlight samples and northern lights spare. And there, in a dusty glass case near the back, she found something that made her heart leap. It was her own handwriting, scribbles, swirls, and lines of color. A map she had drawn when she was 5, filled with moons and stars that had no names. "It's yours," said Sori softly. "The sky never forgets what's drawn with wonder." They showed her the memory through a swirl of light. A younger Olivia in her garden, barefoot and blinking up at the moon. Her small hands had reached toward the stars as she whispered her first wish into the dark. "The sky remembers," said Cormac quietly. "Every question you've ever asked becomes part of it." Sori's earrings glowed softly as she added, "The moon listens, not for answers, but for hearts brave enough to wonder." They worked together, laughter echoing through the tower. Threads of silver light connected stars across their parchment, forming constellations that shimmered and moved like music. Every wish they'd spoken now glowed between the lines. Olivia's hands trembled with excitement as she wove one last thread. Cormac smiled proudly. "That's how magic works," he said. Sori added softly, "And how science does too. Light, pattern, and patience." For a moment, they all just watched the stars they had stitched, their creation reflected in each other's eyes. Then, crash! A telescope tipped. Poof! Stardust filled the air like a snowstorm of glitter. Scrolls unrolled, quills flew, and teacups floated away in panic. Sori spun midair, laughing so hard her wings trembled. Cormac sneezed himself into a pile of charts, and Olivia clutched her side, tears of laughter glowing on her cheeks. When the room finally stilled, they were all shining, covered in gold dust and joy. As their laughter faded, the room grew quiet again. The candlelight flickered, and the moon's reflection filled the window with calm. "The moon remembers everything," whispered Cormac. "Even the moments we forget to cherish." They tidied together in peaceful silence, rolling maps, washing cups, and sweeping silver dust. Sori's wings caught the last shimmer of magic as she said softly, "The best discoveries aren't found in books. They're found in hearts brave enough to look up." They stepped outside, the air crisp and cool. Above them, the stars gleamed like scattered pearls. The constellations seemed alive, lines of silver light connecting every point. Cormac pointed with his quill. "See? The sky is one great map. Sori smiled. Each star a story, each light a friend. Olivia tilted her head back and whispered, I think the moon was right. The best maps show us how to find each other. But why? Olivia asked. Can't we map everything? Her voice was small, curious, full of wonder. Sori's smile deepened and her earrings caught the light. Because some things aren't meant to be solved, she said. Some are meant to be loved. Cormac nodded. Even I can't chart friendship, or laughter, or dreams, but I can promise they're always there, pulling us, like the moon pulls the sea. Olivia's heart swelled with understanding. The mystery itself was the answer. Morning crept softly across the tower. The fairies wrapped a small silver parchment in ribbon, glowing faintly like moonlight made solid. This is for you, said Cormac, placing it in Olivia's hands. A map that will change as you do. Sori added a tiny note tied to the ribbon. You are made of the stars, even when you forget. Olivia's eyes filled with quiet joy. She hugged them both, her heart full of gratitude and light. The tower door creaked open to the dawn. The air was cool, the grass silver with dew. Olivia tiptoed down the garden path, the silver-ribboned map glowing softly in her arms. Behind her, the observatory tower stood warm and golden. Before her, the moon faded into a sunrise painted in pink and gold. Each step she took left a shimmer of silver dust, as though the night itself was wishing her home. Back in her window nook, Olivia rested the map beside her tea. The world outside was quiet again, but she knew now that silence could be full of meaning. The stars shimmered faintly through her window, their patterns different, yet familiar. Her heart felt full, but still curious. She smiled, knowing that the questions she couldn't answer were simply constellations waiting to form. The sun kissed the rooftops as the moon slipped away. Olivia stood in her garden once more, her silver-ribboned map glowing faintly in her hands. She looked to the horizon and whispered, "Thank you." Because now she understood. The real maps aren't made of ink or light, but of wonder, kindness, and courage to keep searching. And somewhere far above, the moon smiled, its glow reflecting quietly in her heart. Even the smallest question shines under moonlight. Curiosity is not confusion, it's the start of discovery. The moon teaches us that forgetting is fine, that wonder is wisdom, and that every heart holds its own glowing map, waiting to guide us back to awe and belonging. Thank you for mapping the sky with us tonight. May your moons be many, your tides gentle, and your light always enough. We'll see you again in the Fairy Garden series.